Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford's last hurrah as the intrepid archaeologist that we all have loved over the last 40 years, minus The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was an absolute travesty of a movie unto itself, which we won't talk about today. I had such high hopes, guys. Such high hopes. I don't know. I wanted to like this. I had high hopes for it. Harrison Ford coming back. James Mangold directing. Logan. This was not Logan. I was hoping it would be Logan's version of Indy. No. This movie barely had a plot. The entire thing was basically him and Phoebe Waller-Bridge running around all over the place, different spots around the globe, trying to put the two pieces of the Dial of Destiny together. Archimedes' dial. So it just became like travel to a destination, have a chase. Travel to a destination, have a chase. Travel to a destination, have a chase. And when they finally got to the end, oh my god. Starts off with the flashback that everyone's been talking about. I really didn't think that was too bad. Some people thought the CGI and the de-aging and everything looked shit. The main thing that caught my eye was his hair looked weird. Obviously they recolored his hair, restyled it, the whole 9 yards. So there's a whole section in the beginning, 25 minutes about, with him in 1944 Germany going after the spear that the Romans stabbed Jesus with on the cross. And he busts into a German castle trying to find it, then gets on a train and finds it and looks at it and goes, it's fake. Fuck it. So then they find the Mads Mikkelsen's guys got the Dial of Destiny, or half of it. And so they grab that and they get off the train. Then it flash forwards to 1969. One thing I will note, in all of the press that they've been doing, Ford and Jim Mangold talk a lot about time. And I swear to God, short of putting in the Pink Floyd song, they basically hammer the audience over the frickin' head with the concept of time. Again and again and again and again and again. It's like, we fucking get it already. The movie opens with the sound of a ticking clock. When he gets to 1969, the first image on the screen is his clock on a windowsill ticking away. He keeps talking about, his age, he's retiring, he's getting out of the teaching business. It's all centered around the moon landing, which has nothing to do with anything in the movie at all, other than Mads Mikkelsen's Nazi Herr Voller, or whatever, is now Dr. Schmidt from the University of Alabama. Right. It's like those CRA calls you get where the Indian voice says, my name's Sergeant John Smith. It's like, the fuck it is. So, yeah. So 1969, the moon landing is only used for a set piece, which you see in the trailer where he's riding a horse through New York City, which was actually shot in Glasgow, ironically enough, and I guess they CGI'd and everything else. So, big chase scene at the beginning on the horse. He gets away, and then he meets up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who, after about 20 minutes, I just could not stand her anymore. Oh my god, between her and that kid, Teddy, or whoever it is, holy shit, guys. So her dad, who was Toby Jones in the flashback scene at the beginning, basically read up everything there is to know about this Archimedes dial thing, just like, Sean Connery's character knew everything about the Grail in Last Crusade. So she figures, this is where we got to find the other half of the dial. So they go to Greece first, and they meet up with Antonio Banderas, who, despite having an action figure in the new line of indie toys that Hasbro and all the crew put together, is in it for maybe 4.5 minutes and then gets shot dead by Mads Mikkelsen. Sorry, spoiler. This is going to be full spoilers, guys, just so you know. So they get the other half of the dial, and they escape from Mads Mikkelsen again. They get to somewhere in Italy, And lo and behold, they find where the other half of the dial is, and Mads Mikkelsen's there already. So, like I said, it's chase, chase, travel, chase, travel, chase, travel, chase. So they get the dial finally together. They put it together. Mikkelsen shows up. There's a bug scene because they gotta have a proprietary Indiana Jones scene where it's either snakes or there's a bit with eels when they're diving for the info, and Indy gets caught in a fucking swarm of eels and he's using like a flare to like fight them off and shit. And there's some crack about them looking like snakes and he's like, no, they're not snakes. So they get the dial finally. Mikkelsen shows up again, just as he does in every single other section of this freaking movie. They get in a plane, and Mikkelsen's plan is to go back in time to 1939, August 1939, and he's going to kill Hitler or something. Something about the VX bombs that the Nazis were trying to design back then. And he's going to perfect it, and he's going to get Hitler killed, and he's going to be able to win the war for the Nazis. So they fire up the port. It's a fucking time travel movie. Like, I heard rumors there were Roman centurions on the set, and I was like, what is this, the History of the World Part 1? Mel Brooks? There legit are Roman centurions in this fucking movie. Oh. So they go back in time. Teddy, the kid, steals a plane and chases after them and gets sucked into the portal as well. Kid's never flown a plane before in his life. It's like me playing Flight Simulator and all of a sudden getting stuck behind the wheel of a freaking Cessna and like knowing how to fly it. So anyway, they go back in time. They go back to 214 BC. And it's the siege of Syracuse, Italy, while Archimedes is still alive. When they're in the temple before that, Indy gets shot right in the freaking chest. Like, almost in the heart. And that's like 35 minutes before the end of the film. Doesn't die from it. Not in any sort of poor shape or anything like that. Phoebe Waller-Bridge chases after the plane on a motorcycle and pulls like a fucking Mission Impossible, jumps onto the landing strut and like goes up into the plane. Hence the scene in the trailer where he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm here to rescue you. And they parachute out. The Romans take down the plane with fucking javelin spears and like catapults with flaming whatever. They crash the plane crashes. Mads Mikkelsen, all the Nazi guys die. Archimedes goes up, finds the wreckage, and pulls off Mikkelsen's watch, which they find in his tomb 2,000 years later, along with like engravings on the tomb that look like propellers of a plane. They're like, what the fuck is this? And then obviously the Nazi plane goes through the portal. That's where it all comes from. So the movie basically ends with Indy sitting there saying, I'm not going back. I've got nothing to go back for. At one point they're discussing Shia LaBeouf's character, and he's like, Helena's like, well, what would you do if you could go back in time? He goes, I'd go back and I'd stop my son from enlisting. And she's like, why would you do that? And just to piss him off. And she's like, no, it would be so that he doesn't die in the war. He apparently died in the Vietnam War, and that's what ruined him and Marion's marriage, and they fell apart, and Indy's been a shell of his former self since then, kind of thing. So Indy's like, I'm staying here. I'm not going back. There's nothing for me there. And Helena's like, no, you got to go back. You can't stay here. And they meet Archimedes and have a little chat with him, and she's still like, you can't stay here. And he's like, well, just reverse these numbers on the dial and that'll get you back to 1969. And she turns around and with one punch knocks him out cold. Next thing you know, he comes to. He's in his apartment in 1969, all bandaged up. He survived the shot, survived the wound. She's in his apartment walking around, and she's like, oh, you're up, good, cool. And he's like, you should have let me stay. And she's like, no, you couldn't stay. You would have ruined history, because he would never have been there for the Ark, the Holy Grail, the Shankara stones, the crystal skulls. And just as she's saying that, the door opens and Marion walks in with the kid, Teddy. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, well, I heard you were back. And he's like, what? And they have this little short scene where she's like, well, where does it hurt? He's like, everywhere. And then they kind of do a reverse of Raiders where he's like, well, where doesn't it hurt? She's like, my elbow. and then like my shoulder, and then they kiss at the end, and it pans down. You see Helena running across the street with Teddy going off on some new adventure, and they pan up the fire escapes, and you see the fedora sitting on the clothesline, and it irises in on the fedora, and then you just see his hand pop out of off camera and grab it, and then credits. What a letdown. What a fucking letdown. For this to be the final time they're doing indie, and this is what they came up with? Holy Moses. I was saying to a buddy the other day, I'm like, it can't be any worse than Crystal Skull. Where's the egg? Right on my face. Splat. But yeah, I mean, the music was good. John Williams always rocks it when it comes to the scores. Seeing Harrison do his indie thing was good. I just wish there was a better story behind it all, and something that wrapped up a little bit better than time traveling back to 200 BC. Like, I had such high hopes for this movie, and they were dashed. It's like Flash. I was super excited for Flash. Terrible movie. Michael Keaton was great, same as Harrison Ford was great, but the rest of the movie was not. I mean, I guess it's just the way this month's been, guys. I mean, full disclosure, we had to put our dog down last week, and between that and my aunt passing away this month and work being shit, lost out on a big bonus. I'm not even going to go into that. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is the capper to my June of misery and utter disappointment. I mean, at least Spider-Verse was good. Spider-Verse was good. Transformers was watchable. Flash was not good. And Indy was not good. And now, I mean, we've got Mission Impossible 7 coming up, which, fingers crossed, isn't going to suck eggs. But that is my 2 cents worth synopsis on this travesty of a film. It opens tomorrow in wide release. I saw the 3 o'clock show this afternoon on the Thursday previews. I mean, I don't know. Just disappointment. Disappointment. And you all know, those of you who know me really well, know how much I love Harrison Ford and love the Indiana Jones movies. This just, I don't know. I don't know. Go see it if you want. I'm not about to stop you. If you've seen it and you thought it was amazing, comment below. Let me know what you thought. I'm going to do a review video summing up probably this weekend. Going to do a 4K review of the original movie releases, and maybe a little bit of trivia and stuff spattered in there with the movies. But yeah, Dial of Destiny, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it about a 3. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. But there it is. There's my spoilerific review. Nice and short. Kept it under 15 minutes for sanity's sake, if not anyone else's but mine. I'm probably going to see it again. I know the wife wants to see it. I'll probably somehow manage to stomach my way through it one more time. But what a letdown, guys. What a letdown. Anyway, until next time, like, subscribe, tell your friends about this. Hope you enjoy the channel. Hopefully we're getting some more hits, some more subscribers, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.